New York City, 1981. Bud Hopkins publishes his first book on alien abductions. The title, Missing Time, is based on a phenomenon experienced by nearly every alleged alien abductee.
Often these alien abduction accounts are associated with a UFO sighting, but part of the experience will be wiped from the memory. So they have a period of so-called missing time. Then they get dreams or flashbacks that something happened. There are a number of theories about this. Maybe some sort of mind control technique, maybe some sort of hypnotic, implanted suggestion. Often abductees only have vague recollections that something unusual and disturbing took place.
These entities might want to induce amnesia to protect the human from the traumatic experience, or it might be for their own purposes as well.
One person who claims to have experienced missing time is retired Navajo Nation's ranger, John Dover.
Through my 31-year career in law enforcement up on the Navajo Nation, I've had a lot of travel time on the roads, and I started having incidences where I'd lose half-hour increments of time over several years. In one case, I blinked. And when I opened my eyes, I was 15 miles further down the road.
Is it possible that John Dover's missing time experiences are connected to alien abductions? While he has no recollection of what happened during these periods of missing time, curiously, John has also had recurring dreams involving a giant disc-shaped craft.
When I was young, I had a reoccurring dream that me and my sister left the house. Across the street is a little park, and in my dream, we go up there, and there's a disc sitting there, and that's where my dream ends. Years later, my older sister tells me that she had the same dream, and we started comparing notes. She says, there was a hatch, and I remember the hatch. And she says, you ran right into that thing. And for the life of me, I don't remember. I've had people tell me that what I experienced was an abduction event. I'm still skeptical, and I don't have a good explanation other than it was something really weird.
Might the fact that people commonly experience missing time, but have no recollection of what happened to them, indicate that there could be many alien abductees who never realize they have been taken? Bud Hopkins considered this a very real possibility and went in search of a way to help unlock the missing memories of abductees.
At the end of the 20th century, regression hypnosis became a popular tool used by psychiatrists and psychologists for helping people retrieve traumatic memories. Bud Hopkins starts to use hypnosis as a tool for retrieving missing time experiences and retrieving memories en masse.
A lot of times Dad thought of it as it's a trauma situation, and so you chose to forget it. And that's, I think, why he got involved in the hypnosis, because it was kind of going past that trauma to try to find out what actually happened.
Now, hypnosis has its critics and its controversy. The hypnotist can be implanting false memories and leading subjects into areas that simply they'd never experienced.
You got to be careful about this. But Hopkins often did publish a lot of the transcripts of the sessions that they did, so you can actually read along what they were doing. And you can say, this looks legitimate. I'm not seeing anything in what this person is doing to elicit false positives. I'm therefore going to provisionally say, this looks like it could be happening.
Seaford, New York, February 1958. In a relatively unassuming suburban ranch home, an unseen force begins to terrorize the Herman family. Screw tops mysteriously pop off bottles. Objects fly across the room. Furniture topples over.
After this phenomenon went on for several weeks, the Hermans became confused, perhaps even a little bit frightened. They reported the phenomena to the police department. A couple of police detectives came over.
A psychological investigation would look into the family dynamics. Is there something happening at this particular point in their journey that causes distress they're not aware of, so that the physical vibrations would affect their surroundings?
Eventually, the parapsychology lab at Duke University came in to investigate the case. The Duke lab talked about poltergeist phenomena as possibly the release of emotional energy, particularly from adolescents or young children or kids going through puberty. The idea being that they were confused, they didn't know what was happening to their bodies, they had emotional energy and trauma. They were operating under the assumption that the poltergeist phenomena was due to telekinetic energy being released by the young boy in the family.
These things were seen by a whole group of people. Even some of the experts saw the phenomenon. Can this be something from another dimension? It's not clear. Is this a group hallucination? Are they somehow channeling the sighting to each other? The psychic expert said it's often an adolescent girl, so she watched the girl to see if somehow it was happening when she was there, but it didn't really pan out. So it didn't follow classic lines, and yet there were lots of witnesses, experts, and no explanation was ever found. Years later, Steven Spielberg wove the tale into a fine movie that was a big hit, Poltergeist.
If this poltergeist event was not simply the result of telekinetic energy, as some investigators suspected, then what can explain it? Was the Herman family really haunted by ghosts? Or could they've encountered an entity from another dimension?
We know science has been able to measure all sorts of invisible things. The electromagnetic field, the heat signature of objects and people. So the fact that we don't see it doesn't mean it's not there. Any contact that we have with an interdimensional being is actually happening beyond our normal visual spectrum. There is no question in my mind that there is more than one species right here on the Earth that is operating within different frequency ranges. That's why we don't really see them. Most of our extraterrestrial encounters are interdimensional. These beings are not coming from far away. They are actually within our human plane, only existing in another dimension. And all we're doing is crossing from one dimension to another within this earthly reality. It doesn't mean that all extraterrestrial encounter is interdimensional. In fact, I believe it's both.
Could the Herman poltergeist and others like it have been caused by beings from another dimension? Ancient astronaut theorists suggest that such an audacious concept is possible, and believe this could also help explain the existence of everything from so-called ghosts to angels and demons. For their proof, they point to a particular phrase found in multiple religious texts. A phrase in the Hebrew Talmud, as well as the Quran, which details the existence of 7 levels of heaven and earth.
What are the 7 levels of heaven? Some associate them with the different planets of our solar system, but others refer to them as being parallel dimensions. So when we speak of the other worlds, which people have interacted with throughout the centuries, maybe we're not really dealing with extraterrestrials from outer space, but ultra-terrestrials coming from parallel space.
Could it be that what are commonly understood to be ghosts are not spirits of the deceased, but entities from other dimensions that, while able to manipulate things in our world, cannot be fully perceived by humans? Ottawa, Ontario, 1982. At the National Museum of Canada, paleontologist and curator of vertebrate fossils, Dale Russell, publishes a thought experiment. Based on the trend toward larger brain sizes and the upright posture of dinosaurs, he proposes a theory about what one species of dinosaur would have evolved into if it had survived the mass extinction 65 million years ago.
What he did is take the dinosaur known as Troodon, and they noticed the morphological changes in the skeletal structure of the dinosaur, and based on over time where it was going, they extrapolated it out further. And strangely enough, or wonderfully enough, they actually came up with a model that resembled a humanoid reptilian being, which actually matched that of the reports that we were hearing now, as well as reports from ancient history. So for me, this was one of the most compelling pieces of information where science actually says it is possible.
The dinos hadn't died out. This would have become what he called the Dinosauroid, an upright standing, semi-humanoid, semi-reptilian entity, what we might call a reptoid. He thought it might stand 4 to 5 feet high, weigh about 90 pounds, and have a fairly advanced brain. Now, did this entity ever come into existence?
What if some of the dinosaurs didn't become extinct? What if they managed to survive the global extinction or presumed extinction 65 million years ago? And over time, some of them developed through natural selection and they grew smaller, they became more intelligent, they became more adept and adaptive and took on a humanoid form. We necessarily shouldn't think that the reptilians are extraterrestrials. Perhaps in some strange way they're our forefathers, albeit from millions and millions of years in the past.
If the reptilians do exist, could they be the descendants of dinosaurs that walked the Earth millions of years ago?
Our concept of dinosaurs is changing all the time, of course, and nowadays we're making so many new discoveries every year that we're reinterpreting them in many ways. Certainly, if you look 20, 30 years back, there were so many things that have been found and so many other things we know now. Particularly, I think it's been very important and that nowadays is completely very well accepted, the idea that dinosaurs are not extinct. The dinosaurs essentially evolved into birds and that they're alive today.
And now that we know that not all the dinosaurs died out, and as a matter of fact, some survived to become birds, warm-blooded birds, mind you, from a dinosaur which is considered a reptile and cold-blooded, we're recognizing that even if these are birds now, and we didn't recognize them now as being part of the dinosaur family, what could these other pockets that have survived the devastation 65 million years ago, could they have evolved parallel to mankind in hidden cavern systems? And could they be actually the beings that we think are extraterrestrial, but are actually our terrestrial neighbors?
Paleontologists generally argue that the dinosaurs died out totally 65 million years ago. I think it's certainly within the realm of feasibility that some found an ecological niche to survive in and may even exist today. And I point out that while we hear UFO abductees talking about little grays and tall humanoids, a minority of them do report encounters with what we would call reptoids. So it's possible that on some planet, if not Earth, somewhere else, they evolved from dinosaurs.
To find another place in the universe that was so rich with resources and so capable of supporting life was probably a very exciting discovery for extraterrestrial visitors to Earth in our prehistory. In their eyes, this could have been the place they could colonize, or perhaps act as a working environment for experiments they were doing with new species they were trying to engineer. Maybe they manipulated dinosaur DNA to favor certain mutations. By playing with certain mutations in the genes of dinosaurs, highly advanced extraterrestrials, through genetic modification, may have been able to alter the course of dinosaur evolution to favor the rise of mammals.
millions of people around the world consider holy books like the Bible and the Quran to be the Word of God. Hundreds of millions of Hindus view the Mahabharata as a guide to spiritual enlightenment, handed down by the god Lord Krishna himself. Each of these holy books contains religious principles in the form of philosophies, parables, and moral codes.
Messages from beyond our ordinary knowledge seem to come in a variety of forms: a visitation, a dream, sometimes an object, a tablet, a golden plate, a book. And so it helps. A book is an ordinary object we are familiar with, and yet if it's seen as divinely inspired, we can take it as more than an ordinary book.
The great majority of mankind today regards the Bible, the Torah, and the Quran as the Word of God. But is it possible that these books were nothing else but guiding books of how we should conduct our lives, and that these moral codes were in fact given to us by extraterrestrials whom our ancestors thought were gods?
I don't think the Mahabharata is a work of fiction. It's an actual history. And the history given in the Mahabharata includes not only actions of human beings on Earth, it also includes actions of extraterrestrials on other planets and on this Earth in interaction with human beings here.
Cultures all over the world believe deities and other non-human entities frequently communicated through intermediaries known as prophets. In the Quran, it's written that God has sent over 100,000 prophets throughout history. Many Native American cultures believed God spoke to them through shamans, much like the oracles of ancient Greece.
An oracle is a person, but a person in some divine state, an altered state of some kind, who is able to hear the voices of the gods and then translate it into accessible human language.
But could the same phenomenon apply to Judeo-Christian religious texts? Might biblical stories of angels and miracles actually be misinterpretations of ancient alien contact or inspiration?
The visitations or apparitions come to give some gift, to open the mind, to lead to a new perception, to lead to a new possibility, either a new artistic take on something or a new plan for humanity. Often we're trapped in some kind of thinking that needs to break beyond its known limits, but we're caught. We are unable to see, to get a transcendent perspective. And that is what the visitation makes possible.
If that is true, there might be additional evidence of alien contact by examining breakthroughs in the fields of astronomy, archaeology, and physics. Or perhaps what is arguably the most universal of all languages, mathematics. Cambridge University, England, February 1913. Mathematics professor Godfrey H. Hardy receives a letter containing complex mathematical theorems and formulas from 26-year-old Srinivasa Ramanujan of India. The distinguished scholar is stunned by what he reads.
Hardy looks at these theorems and says, "My God, we've never seen anything like this. This is mathematics of the highest order. It's so convoluted and complex that nobody could have come up with this by their imagination. There has to be something here."
An acknowledged genius and mathematical prodigy since childhood, Ramanujan was devoutly religious and often claimed his breakthroughs were communicated to him in his dreams by the Hindu goddess Namagiri. In the decades since, his theorems have proved to be invaluable to those working in cutting-edge fields like string theory.
All of the science that we need to eventually be able to create portals, Stargate travel, hyperdimensional access mechanisms, levitation, teleportation, it all needs a mathematical foundation. And the closest that we have right now is the Riemannian equations that we've been able to decipher so far, which came to him directly from this goddess who appeared to him in dreams.